Hello, my name is Reginald Wineforth, and welcome to the Dramatization of Scholarly Works, the show that seeks to analyze particularly dry sections of scholarly books by adding somewhat irreverent skits in order to make scholarly analysis more comedic. Today, this show is brought to you by Doane College's Religious Studies Department, the academic program of study where they discuss Jesus and not Jesus! We also rely on contributions, albeit shrinking rapidly in this economic downturn, from viewers like you. Please give more. Thank you. Today, we seek to analyze Chapter 14 of The Historical Figure of Jesus by E.P. Sanders. Now, we should begin with a quasi-biblical portrayal of the way the Pharisees responded to Jesus' interpretation of the Sabbath. Please note that due to a large drop-off of pledges to your favorite PBS station and a shortage of local talent, we are forced to cut period locations and costumes from our budget. Just assume that our skits today are set in the desert and everyone will be dressed like an ancient Middle Eastern person. Anyway, we begin one Sabbath afternoon as Jesus and his disciples go walking through a deserted area.
It's the Sabbath, and I can't do any work to get food. I'm hungry.
Wait a minute, didn't David and his men eat the sacred bread when they were hungry?
That's David. I mean, wasn't he a total badass when God loved him after his own heart? I mean, he'd go on to kill a member of his own military to cover up the fact that he knocked up the dude's wife. And later he'd have one of the most dysfunctional families in Israel, but even so, he was one of Israel's greatest. Besides, the circumstances were different.
Hey Jesus, what do you think?
You're right. David ate the sacred bread, so since you are hungry, you should be able to do some work on the Sabbath to eat something. After all, the Sabbath was made for man's benefit, not man for the Sabbath.
Good. I'm starving.
Yeah, me too. Let's see, does anyone have change for a 20?
Here, I have 21s.
Give me one.
Hello, Jesus. Why are your disciples doing work on the Sabbath?
Hey, Pharisee, the disciples are fine. David, it's been a sacred bread, and God didn't see mad. Besides, the Sabbath is made for man, not man for the Sabbath.
Ooh, I really don't like that guy. Now, in reality, this probably wouldn't have ended this way. In fact, it is likely the worst consequence that Jesus may have experienced would have been, according to E.P. Sanders, a requirement that each of them take a sin offering to the temple for the offense of breaking the Sabbath. Sanders thinks, in reality, it probably would have ended like this.
Yeah, the disciples are okay. I mean, David ate the sacred bread on the Sabbath, and God didn't seem mad about it.
I'll tell you what, Jesus, your logic is flawed. You and your disciples need to go over to the temple and make a sacrifice to atone for this.
See this man over here? He has a withered hand. I am now healing your withered hand, man. Hey, everybody, look. Is it lawful to do good or harm on the Sabbath? To save a life or to kill?
My hand is healed. I buy it.
Alright, as a Pharisee I must say, this guy is really making me mad. First, he defended his disciples for preparing food and eating on the Sabbath, and then he healed a guy on the Sabbath.
Of course, I'm a Pharisee too, and I know what you mean. You know, just so we didn't have to deal with this guy anymore. I wish he could just drop dead. I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if he got tripped by a runaway donkey or was executed somehow?
You know, that could be arranged. I mean, imagine if we got Jesus to hang out with the birds. I mean, what would just happen? Wouldn't it be wonderful if he were executed using a very brutal form of our occupier's execution?
I like this idea. Yeah, Jesus must die.
Saunders doubts that incidents like Jesus healing a withered hand would have led the Pharisees to plot Jesus' execution. This is another way it could have gone that is probably a little closer to reality.
Hey, how are you doing? Oh, wow, look at that hand. Hey, hold on. Hey, everybody!
Keep it down, man. Causing a scene.
You are now healed.
Praise be.
I healed this man. Now I ask you, is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or harm, to save a life or to kill?
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Jesus, but his life wasn't threatened, so you probably shouldn't have healed him on the Sabbath.
Well, Jesus didn't actually do anything that could technically be described as work as far as we know, so maybe he's fine.
We'll discuss this later, apprentice Pharisee. We'll keep in touch.
Thanks, Jesus. Bye-bye.
Although the dialogue for these dramatizations is rather flippant, modern, and an attempt to attract a younger audience to PBS, it is correct in the sense that in Sanders' book, Jesus' difference between his views and the Pharisees' interpretation of the law probably didn't lead to his execution. In order to understand Jesus better, we must recognize that fact, which is the most important fact raised in chapter 14. Please stay tuned for your local PBS station's telethon, which will go on as long as it takes to raise enough money to buy me a suit instead of my high school show choir tuxedo. This is Reginald Whiteforth, signing off.